r/AskReddit by Reddit and chill. What collection did you have as a child that would have been worth a fortune now had your parents not thrown it away? South African coin collection that my older sister threw away without consulting anyone. Edit. Whoa. It looks like this resonated with a lot people. Thanks for all your responses and for the silver from the kind person. Stay well everyone. To answer your questions. Thankfully, they were not Krugerrands. My parents would have kept those safe. They were random old copper coins that had become rare because they were old. I was young and naive and had never thought to value them. They may not have been worth that much at the time, but they were valuable to me for sentimental reasons. They may been worth a few hundred each by now. Who knows? My sister was into different things at the time, so I don't think she had any clue about coin collecting. It was very mean to throw out my stuff and I think she realized this later on. But I don't resent her for it because we all make mistakes. Edit 2. Thanks for all the warnings and EMS about the Nigerian prince offer. You restored my faith in the goodness of people. I realized it was a scam style post but played along for fun. Sorry for causing concern. These scams are dangerous and are the cause of people losing their life savings. Thanks for staying vigilant. As a coin foreign money collector, this hurt me. I'm sorry she did that, and I hope that there wasn't too much she threw away. And also, throwing away money. Edit. I should probably say this because I feel really bad. I'm an amateur currency collector. What's sad is that my collection is only 3 countries, and I've only been to 2. Canada, US, and Bahamas. I just collect coins and throw them in a box for me to look at from time to time. The reason why I feel bad is because you guys ask me what subreddit can be found to identify coins, how much a coin can get, etc, and to be honest, I don't know. The people that comments I've been reading are very nice people, and I'm sure they can help. I'll try my best to help you. Just what I would do is just a bit of research, and kind of guesstimate the price. Again, I'm really sorry to my fellow currency collectors asking if their coins are worth lots. I enjoy the collaboration with everybody on here, and hearing people from around the world talk about their country's money. Again, I'll try my best to help you guys, but it will take some time. Please still ask your currency questions, comments, and fun facts. Happens more than you think. I see people with leftover cash from foreign trips just trash them because the effort to go get it exchanged into local currency is more than they'd get back due to the exchange rate and conversion fees, etc. And some people just stupid and don't know the value of things. I would never trash foreign money, but yet, exchange is a pain. Especially since banks in my city do not accept any foreign currency other than dollars and euros, and even then they do not accept coins. This is in Russia BTW. I had the complete collection of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures. I packed them into a box and put them away, then later when looking for them I couldn't find them. Asked my mother. Oh those. I threw them out. You weren't playing with them anymore. That's when you throw out the guest towels and find china. You weren't using them. You never use them would be my case. Is it the same story everywhere? My mother has a showcase of fine china and other fine crockery, but I've never ever seen her use them in my 23 years of life. According to her, they're for guests. What guests? Not quite the same thing. But in 1997 I asked my parents to reinvest some money that was set aside for us by my grandfather, about $8,000 after tax, into Apple stock. They were correct to tell me no, but I never quite put the thought away. If they did and were smart enough that we kept it, not counting reinvested dividends, we'd have 349,127 shares today, at the current share price. $98,453,865. How my life could be different if my parents threw sanity to the wind and listened to their middle school age son about what he learned in class. Edit. To everyone commenting, I agree, I definitely would have sold some or all of it by now. Also, if you want to learn about investing, shout out to r/personalfinance. Edit 2. Also, I'm aware now that Google apparently includes stock splits in price history, so $98 million is incorrect. I would still argue several $1 million is a pretty good return on $8,000. Edit 3. Phrasing. It will be fun to bring that up every reunion or whenever someone talks about money. Hey mom, Hey dad, remember when you literally refused to become rich? LMAO. Classic mom and dad. Nearly all of the first 24 editions of virtually every Marvel series, from the Fantastic Four to Spider-Man, including the Amazing Tales in which he was introduced, to Iron Man, the Hulk, Thor, Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, basically all of them. At a comic book store I was once looking at some collector's editions of those comics priced at about $1,500 to $2,400. I said to the clerk, man, I used to have all of these. The clerk, whom I'm sure was Matt Groening's model for Comic Book Man, without even looking up said in a bored voice, do you know how many times a day I hear that? Worst impression ever. LOL. This comic book store was on Hollywood Boulevard in the late 70s. Matt Groening was living in Hollywood at the time, drawing Life in Hell. I'm completely serious when I say I bet that guy was his model for the Simpsons character. He looked and spoke exactly like that. You're probably not wrong. This is from an article written in 2000. Simpsonsarchive.com link. He was partially inspired by a clerk at Los Angeles' Amok bookstore who was sitting on the high stool, kind of lording over the store with that supercilious attitude and eating behind the counter a big styrofoam container full of fried clams with a lot of tartar sauce. My mom had a collection of signed Beatles records that she threw away after she converted to Christianity because played backwards they summoned the devil or something. For years I was hoping to inherit it when I grew up. All I think it summoned was poverty. I met a lady who was a flight attendant on their first flight back to the UK from the US. They signed magazines for all the flight attendants. She had it appraised about 20 years ago and it was worth $10,000. I had to read your comment 5 times to work out why the first commercial flight from US to UK was so significant to have such a high value for the flight attendant's signature. My mom had a large collection of vinyl that I ended up with when she passed. Her treasure was the White Album. Apparently I knew it was really special when I was young because I decided to take it to school for show and tell or for just bragging rights. Not sure. Somehow it didn't make it back home with me. This was the late 80s and I have no recollection of if I left it there, if it was stolen by an eagle-eyed teacher, or if I traded it for a throwing star. All I know is that my mother was not happy and I am missing one hell of a piece to my collection now. My brother had a bunch of first edition Pokemon cards that he spent over a year collecting. Mom took them away for getting in trouble at school, and they were never seen again. I got a PSP for Christmas, about 3 years after I got in trouble for something stupid and my parents took it away, and then lost it. About 5 years later when we were moving out, I found it. It was on top of the tallest cupboard. Your mom sold them. I doubt it. Having experienced this kind of behavior, I can say that there are some parents that are just that stupid, uncaring and remorseless that they will actually attempt discipline through these sorts of tactics. I never technically owned it, but I got to see it once. My grandfather's comic book collection. He would be 92 if still alive. It's in a chest in the original family home, inherited by a hoarder who will probably lose it all someday. Honestly, better than that is the huge luggage trunks the family brought to the States when moving from Czechoslovakia in the 1800s. They are in the same attic. Edit. My father's side of the family is mostly Czech. My mother's side is an American mutt. I use Czechoslovakia for geographic reasons, not national or historical. Americans generally don't know nor care. My grandfather's sister ended up with the original house, which is where the collections are. Her daughter has the home now, caring for her father with dementia. We have a very good relationship with them. She is a caring person, but everything is of value. You'd actually have no idea entering the living area of the home. It's the basement, attic, garage, other paid storage areas, all neatly crammed full. 3. I never expected this to blow up like this. I've never had more than 50 upvotes. I'd reply to everyone, but it's pretty difficult. 5. I was only around 10 when I saw them. I don't remember what was in the collection. Why do hoarders always inherit the family home? Hoarding must work like gravity. The more stuff you have, the more stuff you get. I might not understand gravity. Lots of original Star Wars toys. They wouldn't be nib. Definitely used, but still. Same man. Now I'm gonna grow up and become a dumpster truck driver. They actually earn a good amount though, at least in US. Around 100k per year in Australia, much more in mines. Jeez, after my mom died, my dad met this crazy Jehovah's Witness BCH and one thing led to another. About a month before my high school graduation we got into a huge fight over something and she burned my collection of old D&D books and magic cards. Complete collections. Every first edition book in good condition signed by Gigax. Guess my brother knew him at some point. The real kicker? I rode the wave of the original Magic the Gathering launches back in the day. Complete sets of the original series through Homelands, all burnt to a crisp. Every once in a while when I want to be depressed about never being able to retire I look up the card values. Edit. For the curious. This was almost 25 years ago. I don't even know if the crazy BCH was still alive honestly. My family are JWs too and yep, they also had issues with stuff I owned. I really liked The Witch magazine and had a lot of them. My stepmother threw all of them because it was evil. I remember being invited to a birthday party to a classmate whose family was very religious. I don't remember what they were exactly. JW, Mormons, Church of Jesus Latter-day Saints or something. Anyway, she got a WITCH calendar from one of the girls, and the parents threw it in the fireplace and burnt it in front of everyone. That memory still sticks with me, seeing her utter helplessness and grief as they burnt her birthday present in front of all her friends. Wouldn't have been Jehovah's Witnesses, they aren't allowed to celebrate birthday parties. Source. My first birthday was my 30th after getting out from that awful organization. Not any money to revalue, but my dad got rid of my entire Lego collection when I was in the Navy. My sister is pregnant with her first child and mentioned she wished we still had my enormous Lego collection for him, her son. It may not have been worth a fortune but it meant something to us. Lego is the one thing people throw or give away and I don't get it. It's such a great toy for future grandchildren and doesn't break. Quite so. The Legos I played with as a child are still around. My son played with them when he is a kid. His toddler will soon be playing with them. I am really impressed with the production quality. You can't tell the 50-year-old Legos from the new ones. Sorry to hear you lost at least $100,000. It'd be pissed too. Based on what I knew I had, it's almost $1 million plus that's just the cards. People that got disinterested all gave me their cards so I had a ton of really expensive duplicates. Work. Well shit. About 40 arrowheads collected on my grandparents' farm for years by myself and my grandfather and full sets of baseball cards from 1969 to 1980. My mom decided to toss out all that junk when I moved out for military. I don't understand the instinct to do that. Put it in a box and shove it in a closet. That's where the stuff was. In a box. In a closet. Mom, God bless her, decided to turn my room into a guest room and thought that box was just junk. Cleaning out the room is perfectly reasonable. But him dumping its junk is also reasonable. But not asking you do double check it's in fact junk makes me livid. All these responses are the reasons I keep all my son's stuff. He was a 90s kid. I have a big house with no one in it, so I have the storage room. And I figure, why not? If it can earn me a few brownie points for being the parent who didn't throw out all her child's possibly valuable stuff, I'm in. I have virtually nothing from my own childhood for various financial reasons, and my husband was one of those who always bemoaned the loss of various childhood things that were thrown out by his mom. So I think it's important to not stack up one more card against myself by being that mom. Whenever he's ready, I have all of his video game systems with all of their games and boxes. Pokemon cards, which are really mine now. Haha. Street Sharks, Power Rangers, Superhuman Samurai, Beetleborg, Dragon Ball Z, and Star Wars Star Trek stuff. Okay, admittedly I'm really attached to these things, but if he wants them one day, they're his. Edit. Thank you, kind stranger, for the gold, and everyone for all the upvotes. I am humbled and honored. Beetleborgs, my partner loved those weirdos lol. I am so curious as to what merch they even came out with. He'd be tickled to know someone else remembers them. I'm gonna blow your partner's mind. Then, Get this, my son won a Halloween costume contest at Knott's Berry Farm when he was about 5 years old, and guess what the prize was? It was a $500 shopping spree at Toys R Us with the Beetleborgs. It was unforgettable. The Beetleborgs escorted us through the store, reaching up for things that were too high for my son to reach and putting them in the cart. When we got to the Beetleborgs action figure aisle, they each grabbed theirs and held them out for my son to select. Needless to say, he has all the action figures, plus some of the weapons and vehicles. The Beetleborgs were so cute and nice to him. It was epic. I had over 1,500 Pokemon cards and I gave them to my little cousin because he had a short-lived Pokemon phase and now I'm wondering how much it was really worth. Edit. Whoa. 5k upvotes. Thanks everyone. Not a lot. I've checked prices on mine. Only some of the first generation ones are really valuable, and those are highly dependent on condition. Edit. Thanks for the coins. Okay, thanks. That gives me some comfort. Yeah, I can second what the person above said. I still have my old card collection. Probably like 2-3k plus cards, including several I would have thought would be rare valuable, and I actually went through most of it looking for anything valuable. Probably my most valuable is a second edition base set Holo Charizard, but even that seems to go for about $50.75 from what I've seen on eBay, so nothing crazy, and that's with mint near mint condition, which I don't think mine really is. The handful of good cards I found in my collection seem to be like $10 15 cards, and that's if you have them graded and in mint near mint condition. So it seems like it'd be more hassle to sell them than they're actually worth. I had every single Beyblade released in the US until I went to college and my mom gave them away to a worthy cause. Turns out she dumped them in the trash. The man who drives the garbage van told me about them and asked me if he could take them home for his kid. I agreed anyway. Today I learned Beyblades were worth more than shit. Like shit you can let it. Last time I had a Beyblade, I gave it to a scientist as a bribe to get him to betray his buddy. My G. Joes, Transformers and He-Man, plus a bunch of Star Wars stuff. I don't know if they would be worth a fortune, but it wouldn't be small potatoes. I still have my He-Man action figures, and a bunch of the vehicles. Not surprisingly, if you don't have all the weapons, armor, or pieces of each item they are not worth much. Magic the Gathering cards. That Black Lotus and pretty much a lot of banned cards would be gold by now. I started in 1994. My collection in the early 2000s wasn't bad. Plenty of beta and revised duels. Some P9 in good shape. And plenty of stuff from the early years. I left for basic training and my parents moved. Then moved again. I come back about a year later and start going through my stuff to see what I wanted to bring with me to my duty station and what I wanted to throw away. I asked my mom about my cards and she said she gave them to someone for their kid to play with. It's not the potential price of those cards that's upsetting. It's how hard it would be to try to recreate even a portion of that collection. I play Legacy so I've got duels, but I'm not getting a Lotus ever again. I was just telling someone who quit playing in 96 feet that if they had not bought a car that year and had bought 10 Black Lotuses with that money instead, they would be able to afford a full-sized home in Texas or Arizona. Edit. Did some math. You can buy a small home in Fort Worth or Arlington and still have enough money to buy a Hyundai Sonata. This one is pretty common. Early 90s parents punish child by tossing their stupid game. Or, kid moved out. Parents find box of cards and toss them. Later kid realizes they have value. Parents alike. Yeah, threw those away years ago. My hopes and dreams. They're still worth a fortune. They just have yet to appreciate. Tragically DPPS threw them away years ago and they've appreciated in someone else's heart. I remember when State Quarters first came out. My father sent me a collection of every first edition State Quarter and one time I went to show my friends a while later and couldn't find them. I asked my mother and she said she had to use them for laundry. We were very poor at the time so I understand. But I was a little sad by it as well because it was one of the only things my father ever sent me. Do you mean the first edition proof set would have been worth much more than face value even way back then? I remember something about them being more unique than regular State Quarters and I believe I remember it was because they were first edition. I do remember he didn't just buy every quarter at once. He actually had to hunt them down and purchase them one by one. And it took him a year or so to find all 50. I wish I could remember the exact details, but it was 20 plus years ago and I was a child. None. For some unknowable reason my incredibly abusive parents kept everything. It's like underneath all the rage was love they couldn't find a way to express. My grandma is a massive hoarder and at least one time it has paid off. My mom got an academic scholarship that a year or two later the college tried to cancel. Because my grandma kept the original scholarship letter. My mom was like the only student who kept their scholarship. This hurt to read. I am so sorry. My mass hoard of little pet shops. I miss them all. Oh, and I had collectible model horses apparently. I still have 2 that I looked on eBay to be selling in the hundreds, but I used to have 6, so darn. Edit. I hope I made some people realize that they could possibly be rich in toys. D. Ugh. I had so many Littlest Pet Shop toys. The original ones. Not the reboot where they all have weird giant eyes and bobbleheads. My mom gave them away. I had just and she was organizing them into a bin so they'd be easy to find. But apparently she was boxing them to get rid of them. So all I have left is this one random dog and a gold feeding dish from a different set. I had this book my dad gave me as a child. It was my absolute favorite book and got lost somewhere in our various moves, which devastated me. My brother very thoughtfully went to buy it a couple years ago as a replacement and it turned out it was a limited copy, no longer in print and worth a bloody fortune. Needless to say he didn't buy it, but it's on my bucket list to get a copy. I just googled it again and looks like there's a couple copies available and much more affordable than they were a couple years ago. Maybe my dream will come true sooner than later. Update: there is no way I'm going to find an original copy of this book. My copy was called House by Mouse by George Mendoza, and today I learned that a different version was released called Need a House, Call Ms. Mouse, which is different text. For anyone interested, here's a great article about it that basically sums up how I felt about the book and has some pictures as well. I know it's just a silly kid's book, but I loved it. House by Mouse. Update 2: I spoke too soon. So one amazing Reddit user u/Cynthia Dangus was able to find a copy of the original House by Mouse and amazingly bought it, and it's on its way. I'm honestly speechless at this beautiful gesture. So anyone who says Reddit is a toxic environment can stuff it. Some super nice random stranger has just reunited me with my most beloved childhood book and asked for nothing in return. Hero. Title: It's been an hour. OP is dead. He probably doesn't want to drive up the value even further by mentioning it. Approx 20 kilograms of Lego bricks and accessories. The Blue Railway alone would be a fortune today. My mother gave them away and couldn't remember to whom. Technically a felony. Man shrugging. You can't keep holding it against your mom. You have to eventually let go. Barbies. My family wasn't super well off growing up, but for some reason they allowed my sibling and I to amass dozens of Barbies, hundreds of clothes, 2 dollhouses, 3 cars, 1 RV, a plane, and so much else besides. When I was 12 and had outgrown it all, my dad decided it was time to pass them on to younger cousins or otherwise get rid of them. Looking back, we should have held on to most of it. I had celebrity Barbies, anniversary Barbies, Barbies that came with horses, or were ballerinas, or were otherwise novel in the Barbie world. I literally spent 10 years collecting Barbies and now don't even have a single shoe to show for it. Ducking like and subscribe.